I'm hot. Okay. Hey, welcome to January 6th, 2021. As we look in the rearview mirror and wave goodbye to 2020, we are on a new year, 2021. So we do apologize for starting a little late today, 25 minutes late, but who's counting? We do apologize because we had a little technical difficulty in getting up and around. The hamsters weren't fed apparently, and you know, and so we just getting started. So I want to apologize to you guys out there waiting. Timothy Wayman and David BNSF and N Scale and Randall Ellis and everybody else out there, the 12 that are watching so far in the beginning of this. We do apologize, but welcome to Model Railroading Live, the number one model railroading show in the entire world, if not the universe. I'm your host tonight, Big Bill Graham, on Who's Big Bill Talking To tonight. And we'll be talking with our guest here, as you can see, that's sitting in front of this humongous mountain, Claude Crisp. But before we get started there, just want to let you know that Railroad Empires, How We Build It, will be airing this Saturday night on January 9th, 2021 at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All the shows on Model Railroading Live on 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's their starting time. They'll be doing a decoder install uh, on this Saturday night show, which should be fun and exciting for you guys who really like doing Dakota installs and learning about that stuff. Johnny's Train Talk Show will not be on tomorrow night. He will be on next Thursday evening. That's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's where you, the guys in the community and the gals, can come on down to Johnny's Train Shop, or his general store, as we like to say it. Pull up a chair, pull a soda pop out of the cooler, or grab a cup of coffee and sit and talk trains. You can bring and brag, and you can just get on like we're doing right now. If you have an internet good connection and a webcam, you can be on Johnny's Train Talk Show. There's a link that's in the feed for you to join the panel. So that will be next Thursday night on Johnny's Train Talk Show. Tonight we're talking with Claude Crisp, CRISP, correct, Claude?
T.
Oh, T. And here I got it in your phone as P.
It's been done before.
So there. I hope your holidays and your Christmas and your New Year's was good, safe, and blessing.
Very good.
Yeah, good for you. So, Claude, you're the owner operator of the Cowboy Valley and Timberline Junction Railroad. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And is that a mountain behind you, or is that just
it's mainly plaster, but yeah, it's supposed to be a mountain. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it looks like a mountain. It feels like a mountain, so it must be a mountain. But it's an impressive mountain.
Well,
it is
you.
Truly impressive. It really is. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself here. You are model railroader. Have you? The question that we always ask everyone who comes on who's a model railroader is like, where did you get the start in model railroading? How was the genesis, the beginning of this fever that you caught?
Well, the very first, I was born in Southern California in the high desert up above Cajon Pass. My dad took me at 5 or 6 years old, took me down to Pomona County Fair, just east of LA. And they had a huge building that they had the San Gabriel Mountains modeled in. And they used, if I remember right, they had 3 scales modeled, O scale, S scale, and HO scale. The further up the mountain you went. And I was so impressed with all the miniaturization of it. It wasn't necessarily the trains, although that's a pretty good draw for a small kid. It was the miniaturization of the scenes and stuff that I found fascinating. And then when I was about 6 or 7 years old, I got to ride the Santa Fe Chief from LA to Fort Worth, Texas. And,
From
Rest is
there,
history.
the rest is history, as they say. So when did you start building? When was this layout? When was this conception brought to?
This layout that you see here is just over 2 years old. I had started one about 2.5 years ago and tore it down, and for various reasons, mainly because I'm getting older and I knew I couldn't get under some of the places that I was putting in. And this track, I came up with this track plan. It was gonna lend much more to what I wanted to do, and be much more accessible for me as I get older, to be able to maintain. So that's why I went with this track plan.
And the Cowboy Valley and Timberline Junction, that also has a kind of
Yes, actually, I had trains. Well, I had some just as the kids were born. I had some N scale stuff that I kind of dabbled in, but I had an HO scale layout. I had a 4x12 table in my bedroom when I was in high school, and yes, it took up the entire room except for my bed. But I got into that, and my son knew about that, but he never showed any interest in trains per se, especially model trains. But he's always on YouTube. And one day he sent me some videos of model railroads on YouTube, and I started watching them. And of course, I didn't know anything about DCC at the time, because I'd been out of it so long. And when I heard the sounds and some of that stuff, and one of them he showed me, they even had the engine smoking and that sort of thing. And I just thought, oh, I gotta do this again sometime. And he said, well, why don't we build a layout? And I thought, well, great, that's something I can do with my son again. Now he lives about an hour and a half west of me, and he's not here all the time, but he did help with some of the bench work.
okay.
He's not a big modeler. He's more of a cook. He loves to cook with his mother.
Okay.
But he also likes the scenery part of it. So I'm getting more to the part where not necessarily this part, but to the flatland kind of scenery that he wants to do. So I'm sure he'll have a lot more input then.
So the Cowboy Valley, and that's the initials, is that correct?
Yes, that's the Cowboy Valley and Timberline Junction. My first initials are CV, and his first initials, he goes by TJ, and that's where we came up with the name. I suggested the name, and he loved it, so that's what we went with.
That's good. Just want to say hello to all my all the guys out there. Joe G's out there. John 2618. Possum Bayou is out there. Dave P. Hello. Timothy Wayman. Hello, guys. Randy's Rock and Roll Railroad is out there. Hey, Randy. And stuff like that. So just happy to see you guys. Hope your holiday, your Christmas and your New Year's was just as good. I hope every modeler got their wish list fulfilled. Every engine, every rolling stock, every piece. William A. Evening all. Hey, how are you, William A? Now, Claude, do you have a YouTube channel that you produce and put content on? And what's the name?
And I do, only because I had some people that wanted to see what I was doing.
Right.
And so I thought, well, I'll put it on YouTube. And if you go to my channel,
and what's the channel name?
Cowboy Valley and Timberline Junction Railroad.
Okay.
And if you go to my channel, you'll see my early videos were not very good.
That's all right.
Sure that have gotten into it. And I'm not into it to get likes and subscribers and that sort of thing. My whole intention was to just show what I'm doing.
So
and if people like it, great.
So it's safe to say that we're not going to see a million subscriber giveaway anytime soon.
No, I've given some giveaways, but not a million subscribers.
Not a million subscribers yet. We've got John from Schuylkill River Valley. I am so sorry, John. I always mess that up. Yeah.
Hi, John.
Hey, and who else came in? Dwight of Northern Star, and he says, hey, good to hear from all of you. Nice diversion. from all the other stuff that's going on tonight. You're absolutely right, Dwight. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, this is a better channel to be on.
Yeah, and we just want to welcome you to the MRL. Who's Big Bill talking to tonight? We're talking with Cloyd Crisp of the Cowboy Valley and Timberline Junction Railroad. And he was just getting into talking about, now what scale is this, an HO scale?
This is HO and HON3.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I've got a loop to loop in the standard gauge HO, and then a point to point with a major yard and 2 towns in the narrow gauge.
Right. So now was the bench work was the bench work first or the mountain first, then the bench work after that around the room?
Pretty much the bench work first. I don't know that I did all of it at the same time, all of the first level at the same time. I don't remember.
Right.
They could go back on my early channels, early shows and see that.
Right.
But I did the mountain. Once I got into the mountain and started bringing that helix up, I needed to get it done so I could get some of the stuff on, well, you can't see it from this shot, but the trestle and stuff on the back side over here coming into the helix, which is the narrow gauge helix that goes up to the summit.
Right.
This track here is the upper return loop of the standard gauge. The lower return loop you can't see; it's hidden in the mountain.
Now, are all those trestle bridges, are they scratch built?
Well, this one is scratch built completely. This trestle. This one is a micro engineering steel girder that I modified to get what I needed for my waterfall and stuff. So it's heavily modified. Probably would not pass civil engineering codes, I'm sure.
Okay.
On a real railroad.
Okay.
But for a model, it'll work just fine.
All right. So you took some liberties with it.
Yeah, my trestle on the backside, which is just over 3 foot long, is a kit bash. Well, not really a kit bash. It's a modified kit.
Right.
And I had to do some stuff to it because you can't find an S-curve wooden trestle in a kit form. So I had to figure that out. But it's more of a kit than it is a scratch build. This one here is a full scratch build.
Oh, okay. And do you like doing scratch building yourself?
I do. I like working with my hands. I used to do RC airplanes, quarter scale and third scale RC airplanes. So I love working with my hands. Kind of do that as a business now in home repair. But I love working with my hands. And my biggest thrill. One of the things I like doing the best is figuring out a problem. When I've got a problem on how am I going to do something, I like figuring out how I can do that and make it work well for what I want.
Right. Well, yeah. Albert Einstein once said, "I'm not the smartest man in the world." He says, "I just looked at the problem a little longer."
Yeah.
So, absolutely. It's,
Yeah, I love that. I love that part of it, the problem solving part of it.
Yeah. So,
except when I have a short. Now, I don't like having to find a short when I've got a short.
I know those are the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
Those are the worst of the worst when you get a short, and then you go and then you say, "I'll never let that happen again," and you put those circuit breakers in, and wherever it happens,
It's still going to short.
It's still going to short.
Yeah.
And you say to yourself, "What am I doing here?" And then when you have to finger push the train along, you're like, how come it doesn't run like those guys on the video? Those guys on the video, it runs like smooth,
Yeah, exactly.
But, so how long did it take you to do that mountain? I mean, the helix.
Actually, I hate to give any credit to stuff that doesn't need credit. But because of what happened this last year,
right,
and we were home a lot,
right,
a lot of this got done then.
Okay.
Steve Arnold and I and Shannon Tapia on the Back on Track channel would get on and do a trackside. We called it trackside beans. It was just a BS session, basically.
Right.
You get on and turn on the camera and start working, and I did a lot of this during that time.
Right. Right. So yeah, well, quality time. You got to
Yeah.
stay in. I just read an article on in uh, a UK magazine, modeling thing in UK. Now they're down on lockdown, and the guy that was writing the article, was like the brigadier general. He was telling all modelers, get on the workbench.
Yeah.
If we got to stay in, let's make something. Let's make it worth it.
Let's do something. Yeah. Well, that's the great thing about having a hobby. Even when I did RC airplanes, when it was snowing here in Oklahoma, and you couldn't go fly, I could still be out in my shop building.
Yeah.
And so now I don't have to go anywhere to fly.
Excuse
I
me.
come upstairs and
Yeah,
and trains, and I'm here whenever I want to be. So it's really nice.
Right. And the overall, now how big is the overall layout itself?
We're about I want to say about 10 or 12 by 17 minus 5.5 by 7.5 corner that comes in right back here behind the mountain, that cuts into that, comes back into that rectangle. So it's an L-shaped layout.
Right.
Goes back this way and back that way, and this is right off of that cutout corner part. So
Right. Now, when you were doing this, what was the what kind of track do you use?
it's all micro engineering Coach 70. Both the narrow gauge and the standard gauge are all Coach 70. I do fast tracks turnouts. I build my own turnouts. I've hand laid all the track except the loops on the standard gauge and the track of the helix inside the mountain. That's flex track because nobody's going to see that. But all the exposed track is hand laid.
Oh, and how long did that take you to do?
Oh, not as long as you think, because once I get started, I have a tendency to keep going until I can't stand up. I'd be bent over the bench and then I finally get to where I get to a stopping point, and it's hard to stand up again. But
Right. So then we see the chiropractor the next morning.
exactly. But yeah, a lot of it, I don't know because I never really kept track. But it took several months of on and off work, when I wasn't working, and I don't work on it every day. So,
Right.
it's a hobby. So I do it when I feel like doing it.
Right.
But it took several months to do that, between building the turnouts and hand laying the track. And of course, as I put the turnouts in, I put a tortoise under them at that time and get all that done. So, it's, as we're going, I can then run trains.
Now, where did the idea for the track plan? How did you come up with the track plan?
I just found I tried AnyRail and some of those others, but they were all Microsoft based, Windows based, and I don't have a Windows machine. I'm on a Mac, so I couldn't use those. I didn't want to pay $100 for a track planning software, and I didn't want to have to do it with a pencil. So I finally found a track planning software called Empire Express Deluxe,
Right.
which is a nice little track planning software tool, to get my rough idea what I wanted. And I did that. I put that, actually showed those plans in one of my early videos on my channel. And then as I worked, I, would change stuff as I thought would be, what I want.
Right.
So that's kind of how that's gone. And it's worked pretty well so far.
Okay.
From what I can tell, I'm not completely done with the yard and stuff like that. And I haven't gotten to my endpoints on my narrow gauge, but for the helix and all that stuff, it's worked really well.
Joe G and John 2618 and John have also said that Claude's Mountain, it was great. John 2618 says it was great watching Claude's Mountain progress. And John, how do you say
Scoop Hill. River Valley.
Schuylkill. You know, I do apologize for that.
He's in Pennsylvania, I think. So that's the problem.
But that's still, I should learn how to pronounce it right, because John's a great guy, and I don't want to do disservice to his Schuylkill Valley, River Valley. So he says, agree, John, that mountain is fantastic. Joe G, the mountain is very impressive.
Thank you, guys.
Frank DeLauro says, where's Richard Dreyfuss, referring to Encounters of the Third Kind.
I had somebody else ask me about that, and I said, well, that's when the wife will put her foot down, is when I start throwing plants and dirt up through the window.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
So, but so now we got this would you say this is the only completed thing as you're doing the railroad?
No, I've got this little corner back over here is probably 90% complete. But as far as scenery, yes, that's pretty much it. I started up on the top layer. In fact, I meant to do an update today, and I didn't get around to it. I was cleaning up in here, but I did get some more scenery done on some stuff I did up here on the top level, coming out of the helix at the summit. But yeah, the mountain is pretty much complete. I may do some more trees and bushes and stuff like that on it, but for the most part, it's complete. The track is all working properly and that sort of thing. So in that regard, it's complete.
John says, you're right, Claude. Pennsylvania is the problem. And he says, no worries, Bill. No one can pronounce it either. So, but
I come to Oklahoma if you want some weird names.
Yeah. But in any case, now, what powers this railroad?
I use Digitrax, DCC, and I've got a separate power supply, and then a command station, and a separate booster. And I will separate the levels with circuit breakers into probably four sections. Mm-hmm. For that, I'm using PCX circuit breakers, I think is what they are. Yeah. I haven't installed them yet, but that's what I'm planning on doing.
Yeah. And go ahead, John. John says he uses a different.
Sure. Yeah. The PM42s. I didn't get those. I got these at a lot better price, and so that's why I went. But
on an interesting note on the electronics, I was talking to somebody who's in the know, in the hobby, who's got that thing, and he said, in regards to electronics, they're having a hard time getting circuit boards for like the NCE products and for Digitrax, because of this virus, manufacturing has stopped. So people are, in high demand of it. Like I was thinking about, I saw a couple of videos on the wireless NCE, because I have NCE that powers this layout power cab, and I was going to get the wireless to do the other side, so I'd have two of the same controllers, but I'd have the wireless on one side. Mm-hmm. And I can't find anything. So I went to the guy who's in the know of the hobby, and he said to me that right now in China, things are like basically shut down, and circuit boards and NCE stuff and any circuit board is not being manufactured. So we're
if you don't have it now, you're probably not going to get it for a while.
Wow, that's what he said. Yeah. So
yeah.
Why did we go with Andy Crawford is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Big round of applause to Andy, everybody. 2 thumbs up. Love the street trestle and stacked bridges and the photo backdrop. Who's the vendor for the photo backdrops? He asks.
The vendor is Lark Products, LARC Products, and I believe he's in upstate New York, somewhere there. I don't remember the exact town he's in, but they're photo backdrops. These particular backdrops are his most expensive. He offers them on 3 different backings. This one is a PVC. Best thing I can tell people is it's like a vinyl shower pan material.
Oh,
Very similar to that. In fact, it's gray on the back side, but he puts that on there. The one I've got right here, he actually reversed for me. He'll do separate stuff for you. Swap the picture that he's got, take stuff out, blend it in, all kinds of stuff you can do for you. He's a great guy to work with. But all of these are autumn Colorado scenes because that's what I'm modeling is Colorado basically in the autumn. So that's what these are. And that's where I got them from, was Lark Products.
Well, Ralph Franzetti has chimed in and he says, Bill, he says, how come I didn't get an applause? and Ralph, the reason why you didn't get it, because I was saving the rootin' tootin' pistols for you, my friend. Rootin' tootin', not the regular pistols, but the rootin' tootin' pistols. So there you go, Ralph. Andy Crawford says, yes, indeed, I like the lock stuff and very affordable solution. Yeah. John 2618 says, I use lock as well. Great backdrops and great company to work with.
Yes, they are.
You know.
Yeah. And when you've got as big as I've got, yeah, they're not cheap, but I couldn't paint it that well for sure.
Yeah. So, could you take the camera and give us a little bit of a mini tour? Everybody take their Dramamine. So nobody
I'll try to go slow.
I'll sway back and forth.
Let me switch around.
Okay.
Okay, so there's the difference between standard gauge and narrow gauge. Right there.
Why did you go 2 different?
Well, I went narrow gauge mainly to get more track in the small area that I had.
Oh, okay.
But I did the standard gauge so I could have the dual gauge track because that's just cool. So I had to do that. And I like the narrow gauge. I've been to Colorado and New Mexico twice to ride the trains up there, and they're fabulous. I love the live steam, and it's a great way to do railroading.
Now on the O scale, on the HO scale, can you also run your HON3 on that? I see.
Yes, right here, like on this trackage where it's
the
picture right here, that's dual track.
Yeah.
So I can run that. I can run both on any place that's dual track. Now see this one right here is a turnout where the standard goes through and the narrow goes off.
Right.
But then I also have tracks or turnouts where they go both ways.
See for me, that's a bit above my pay grade.
It's really not that hard. It looks like it's really fancy, but it's really not that hard. But it does look cool. And it gets a lot of comments when people come in and see it. They go, well, why do you have 3 rails on there like that? Is this that you need that to run the trains? I said, well, you need it to run the trains I'm running, but it's not like the old Lionel stuff.
Yeah. Well, just for a moment there, Eric Halls jumped in, imrr.com. He says, sorry that I'm late. Looks like I'm watching on the rewind. No, actually, you're not. We started late today, Eric. So you're actually not late at all. You're actually right in the middle of it. We're only been in here for a little bit. So we're talking with Claude Crisp of Cowboy Valley and Timberlake Junction Railroad. It's a dual gauge HO and HON3 railroad. And right now we're getting a tour of it. So you're not really at the end of this, Eric. You're kind of like right there at the pinnacle of it. We're just coming to the top. So
this is one of the few things I have built. This is a Campbell's Scale Kits 10 stamp mill.
Nice.
Modified a little bit, but it's a derelict building on this layout. You can see the old trestle there.
Right.
Back to the dump. And then this is the other trestle that I built.
That's the one you said you modified because it's an S scale, right?
Yes, I had to add the span, and then also make it into an S
You made it work. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, and it works. It works pretty well. Works pretty well. So I'm happy with it. There's a few of the aspens that I've done to go with the rest of it. This is the part that I had just finished or almost finished. It's not quite done, but this is the last part I've been working on is up here. And that's where it comes out the summit and then comes back around, and the one level to one of the towns will go back across right here on this trestle. There'll be a steel trestle across here, not this one, but similar to that. We'll go across and then it'll pick up again right here. So this all will be one scene all the way up.
Uh-huh.
And then it'll be 2 layers again once you get 2 levels once you get back over here, and it'll come around all the way to the door. Then on the other side of the mountain, now you get to see all the junk.
All right. We all got junk in our closets. We all do.
Yep. So anyway, this is where the helix comes out, is right here out of this rock portal. And this is the summit Y. And there it goes to the cut that I just finished doing. And then I'll have another level that comes right around all the way around here to this side. And that'll be another town. I've got a little bit of staging back here I put in as an afterthought. And then right down in here will be a large cattle pen and transfer from the narrow gauge to the standard gauge.
Very nice. Very well played out.
But that's pretty much the
and where did you? I saw that sign on the wall. Where did you get that, Cowboy?
My wife actually got that for me last year for Christmas. She found a place and had that made. That is plasma cut metal.
Nice.
Yeah, it's probably weighs about 5 pounds, 6 pounds, and there's not much metal on it, but it's not lightweight. But
very nice.
So that's now my logo for the railroad.
Good.
And then I also have the drop down here to come into the layout is right here.
Yeah, very nice.
So I had to figure that out too. That was one of my problem solvings that I had to do.
Now, is this going to be a point to point or continuous?
The standard gauge is going to be reverse loop to reverse loop and come through the yard right here that I showed you. Then the narrow gauge branches off and goes into the helix and goes up to the top and will branch off to the 2 towns on the upper level.
Oh, nice.
So it'll be point to point.
Right. And will you be doing operations or just?
I will, I'm sure eventually. My son is really not so much into running the trains other than just watching them run.
Right.
But I'm sure I will get into it in my own right. And I don't have any friends or anybody in the neighborhood that likes doing it, at least not that I know of. So I'm sure I'll just be doing that on my own, but I'm sure I'll enjoy that also.
Well, thank God that I don't live next door to you, because I'd be there every day. Your wife would be looking behind the thing. Oh, he's here again. Pretend we're not here. Did you put the car in the garage? Pretend we're not here. He's that crazy guy from.
She'd welcome you to keep an eye on me.
There we go. There we go. Now, doing this has also afforded you time to get also involved in video blogging with the other guys, John, and you do that.
Steve Arnold and Allie, and I forget Allie's last name. She's in Australia, and Shannon Tapia is in Australia, and they started it. If Joe G's still here, he was part of the group, still is, if we can ever get him back out there. But they started up a channel, and I started watching it, and then they were short one day and asked somebody if they wanted to pop on, and I did. And then Steve asked me if I wanted to be part of the group. And I said, sure, I can help you out. And so kind of been doing that for almost a year now.
So
But have a lot of fun at it and enjoy doing it. And we have a pretty good group that comes back every week.
now, do you do that every week? Every
Saturday morning, 10 Eastern,
10 Eastern,
9 Central, and that makes it 7 in the morning on the West Coast. So, and don't ask me about Australia. I still don't know that. It's early in the morning for them.
Yeah, it's tomorrow morning.
It's the next day. Yeah,
that's it. That's why you'll never have. What's that? Randy's rock and roll. I'm in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I was going to say Randy's in Oklahoma. I'm not sure exactly where, but he's in Oklahoma.
He wants to know if he can come over.
Sure.
Andy Crawford says you don't need local guys to operate. Internet-based operations are really becoming a solid option for many of us that are in the parts of the country where few other model railroaders happen to live. We were privy to see that with Martin Jenkins from Australia. He was operating a train in, I believe, Michigan or Minnesota one day. He was just operating a passenger train, but he was operating it from Australia all the way. Yeah, so it's technology has come a long way. I remember when we used to have the toggles and you used to have to cut the section of the track and put the rail joint is the brakes in the rail joint, so you could get one train. If you wanted to run more than one train, you had to have the switching and the wiring and the whole thing. And then DCC came along, and you were like,
oh yeah, makes it so much better.
Yeah, absolutely. So doing this video blogging thing, how has that been working out for you and the guys? Do you really enjoy it?
I've really been enjoying it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like I say, we get the same 25 people or so every week that come on as a base group, and then sometimes we'll have more than that. We've been trying to get some people to come on and be on the show. And of course we usually invite some people to come on, and Shannon has had some work things going on, so he's not been on there. So you want to come watch us on Saturday mornings, come watch us and we'll get you on the show.
There you go. Instant fame.
Yeah.
You can be famous.
And you can be like me.
Yeah.
I won't chase them away with it.
Yeah, no. What are you kidding me? Let's see. Ron Bryce from Australia says it's 2 p.m. the next day in Australia right now. So that's how that's how we'll know the world will never end, because it's already tomorrow in Australia.
Yeah.
Randy's Rock and Roll Railroad says I'm in Tuttle, Tuttl, Oklahoma.
Okay. He's only about 2 hours from me.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's amazing. He's only 2 hours away from me. When you
say my son's an hour and a half away from me, so
I know, but when you say that here in New York City, and there we go, yeah, that's far.
Well, 2 hours in New York City is only about 4 or 5 miles down the road.
No, 2 hours in New York City is only around the corner.
Yeah.
The traffic is like horrendous, but not so much now today. But anyway, I met a woman, this is a side story. I met a woman from China the other day, and I asked her if she lived in Beijing, China. Had she lived in Beijing? And she said to me, no. She says, I live in another city, and she mentioned the city. And I said, well, how far? She says, oh, it's not far at all, 20 hours. I said, 20 hours? She goes, not far. That's not far in China. I said, 20 hours is not far. She goes, no, not at all. Not at all. I was like, wow, their conception of distance, such a large country is,
yeah,
and stuff like that. But anyway.
Well, the means of getting there, yeah.
Yeah. So Dave, BNSF N-Scale says, good old block control. Oh, yeah. John 2618 says, it blows my mind that remote operation is possible on model railroading now. Yeah, let's see. Randall Ellis, not only that, but the fact that it comes so far in such a short time. Just imagine what it's going to be like 5 years from now. Yeah, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
Yep, that's true.
Who knows, but again, it's, when you think back, Claude, on this hobby of ours, and you go back, I was in the hobby in 1981, 82, 83 to 84. Then I got out of it, and, work life, raising my kid, doing little league and all that kind of stuff. And then, you come back into the hobby and you're like amazed at what it goes, but it's still the lore of the hobby is, I think, is hands-on.
Yeah, I agree. That's the biggest thing I like about it is working with my hands. That's why I like hand laying track and building my own turnouts. Just finished. Spent the last 3 days on this. This is a Campbell scale model water tower of a Rio Grande Western, Denver and Rio Grande Western prototype. I'll be building 4 more of those for this layout. But yeah, I love doing that kind of stuff. Now the little stuff's hard to work with sometimes anymore because my fingers don't work as well as they used to.
And the eyesight is a little.
Yeah. Well, I take my glasses off and get up close. So.
Well, the thing with that is like, you take your glasses off to get up close. And then when you're working up close, I notice that when I'm working up close, then all of a sudden I can't get it in vision. And I go to I'm thinking to myself, well, I got to take my glasses off. Then I go like, wait, I already took my glasses off. Oh, I'm stuck here. There's no getting any closer to this,
No.
So it does have its drawbacks, and it does have its.
It's dropping stuff on the floor. That's the biggest headache. But
it is.
It's not only seeing it on the floor, but bending over to pick it up.
But that's. I have 2 very, very, very bad knees, and I need to get down, and I use a half of a old chair to get down and to get up. And I tell you, it's like I dread the fact. Sometimes I'll drop stuff, and I'll just say, I'll wait till I go to the hobby store and pick it up. I'm not doing this. I have electrical work I got to do under this layout for lighting, and I'm like, I keep putting it off every day. I keep saying, I'm going under there. And I'm like, no, not today.
Well, do what I did, Bill. Build you a little elevated creeper.
I have an elevated creeper.
There you go. That's the way to get under there. Yeah, it's getting off the creeper.
See. I have to take. See, what I have to do is I have to take the dual Advil and dual Tylenol with the Meloxin, because everything's screaming at me. What are you doing? My knees are screaming. What are you doing? You're not supposed to do that.
Yep.
Yeah. And
unfortunately, our bodies will tell us that.
Nah, it is. It is. It's and then it's best to lose. The wife tells me, "Well, if you lost some weight," I said, "Yeah, give me another piece of that apple pie, will you?"
Yeah, exactly. At this point, it's not worth losing the weight for.
So what if I don't live an extra 3 minutes? Yeah. Someone told me the other day, I was telling him, about these diets, these new fad diets. And he's a Christian man like myself. And he said, Bill, when you go to heaven and God looks at you, he's going to say, doesn't matter what you did. Today was the day you were ordained to come here. So you could have had the Snickers if you wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been in the books for years, Bill. You should have, but you can't overdo it. Yeah. Let's see. Frank DeLauro says, I'll help you with the electric. No, thank you, Frank. No, thank you. I saw you operate a cement mixer once. It ain't happening. No. I love Frank. I love him like a brother. Not necessarily my brother, but I love him like a brother. Joey Buckzak says, I write software for a living, and even I'm overwhelmed by some of the tech these days. Yep. Yeah,
it's really amazing, and it is. It just goes faster and faster. It just gets better and better, and
I know you walk into the computer store, walk out with the computer, and then as soon as you put it in the car, it's already outdated.
Yeah,
so you don't know. So Claude, what on doing this layout? What is the best thing you like doing on this layout?
Oh. I don't really know. I like a lot of it. I like the scenery. I wasn't sure if I would like the scenery because I'd never done it before. On my other layout, I never got around to doing scenery. So that I've liked doing the scenery, but I like building the bridges. I like laying the track. I've liked putting some decoders in some of the engines that I bought that were DC and needed decoders. I just recently put sound car decoder in one of my cattle cars, and it was fabulous. I love the sound out of it. This I bought from a guy on eBay that does. This is a HO Athearn Hustler, and he made it HON3 with dual worm gear drive, but it was DC. And so I put a decoder in that. Now, don't ask me how I got it in there because I couldn't tell you.
Right.
It is stuffed in there.
Right.
But it works great now. And I even put lights in it, which when I first got it, I thought there's no way I can get lights in that, but it's got forward and reverse lights in it now.
Well, there was something that you said just now was like when you said about the scenery, you said, I didn't know if I knew how to do that.
Yeah. When I got ready to paint this, when it was all white, I got all the plaster on it, and I hadn't really put any rock molds or very many rock molds in it yet, but I got ready to paint this, and I thought, I'm kind of scared about painting this because I'd never done it before. But I got some gray paint and some water and paper towel in my hand and I put the gray on first. Then I put some of the raw umber in it. That's what the red is. Here's raw umber. It'll look a lot like some of the ore deposits in the Colorado mountains. And where I'd get too much on there, I just blot it off with a paper towel. And if I needed more, I put some more back on it and blot it again, and it would look great.
What was one of the things you said to me when on our earlier conversation on Monday? We were talking about that scenery situation, and you happened to do that, what you said, and then you happened to take a trip with your family, your wife.
Oh, yes.
She remarked to you.
We went to Jackson Hole, took a trip to Jackson Hole, and went up through Denver and on I-70. And we're going on I-70. And, of course, if you've ever been on I-70, they've got some big rock cuts, especially west of the Eisenhower Tunnel. And she goes, that looks just like your mountains at home. And I said, well, that's what I was kind of going for. I wouldn't have thought it would have been that close, but that's what it ended up being. I thought I'd be a lot darker than what they would be, but I'm going to switch you around here again, and I can explain this a little bit better.
Hey,
this
Shane.
This is on the backdrop. You can see how dark that stone is here.
Right, right.
And that's what I was kind of trying to match here, kind of trying to get the same kind of look with that. And it seemed to turn out pretty well. So
it did. But the key,
I'm happy with it.
Yeah, well, there you go. And I think the key phrase there was you didn't know if you were going to do it, how it was going to turn out, but you tried it anyway. And we talked earlier before we went on air about how fear holds us back from not trying because we're afraid we're going to fail.
Exactly. And the biggest hurdle to get over is getting started.
Yeah.
Start and then go from there.
Right.
And if you run into something you don't know about, research it. There is somebody out there that has done it before, and just research it and then try it yourself.
Well, the beauty of this technology that everybody's, talking about, and this Joey Buczek says, right from the quality of the available tech is so much is out there, it gets dizzying just to try to figure out what to get or to work with. And he's so right. Think about this, 20 plus years ago, we didn't have this technology, this video stuff here that we're doing now. In the last 9 years since, model railroading, formerly YouTube Model Builders, has been on, it has progressed so much more, whereas now everybody is having a video blogging thing. You guys, trackside beans,
Yeah.
trackside Sunday, trackside Tuesday, Vinny and Sparky. So there's no reason why you couldn't get an answer from somebody somehow if you just looked for some live show that was going on model railroading.
Exactly. And I would say don't go with just one person's opinion on how they do it. Check out several different ones. Back in the day, Bill, all we had was Columback Publishing.
Yes.
If they didn't make a book on it, we didn't have a clue as to what we were doing.
Right.
Right,
Exactly right. It was, and the research was at the library in the periodicals department.
Yeah. Now you've got it right at your fingertips, and can ask people almost instantaneously, how did you do that? Or what do you think I should do with this? And that sort of thing.
Right. Well, the old ways is not the bad ways, because you learned how to do the Dewey Decimal System in the library, which today, if young guys are listening, they're like, the what? What did you do? You actually went to a library and looked something up, and you actually took the book and read it?
Yeah. Well, I still get Model Railroader magazine, and I also get some stuff on narrow gauge modeling, the Narrow Gauge Gazette, stuff like that.
Yeah,
that gives me specific stuff, and it also gives me very good pictures of stuff I may want to do.
Right.
And so the print periodicals are still very good. You just have to make a decision on whether or not they work for you.
Yeah. The other thing too is, and since the research is a lot, the research is a lot easier to do now. You can Google anything and, basically find out. But I find, like, especially for my railroad, South Brooklyn, the Bush Terminal, is that I go down to the old neighborhood where Bush Terminal still exists. And I happen to find a gentleman that owns Frankel's Outerwear. It's been there since 1893. And his great-grandfather owned the shop, owned the whole thing. And I talked to him, this guy, Mr. Frankel, and he's 83 years old. And he knows everything there is to know about the area and how the railroad worked down there. And his son runs it, but occasionally he comes in. And one time he came in and he had a folder filled of photographs that he had taken of engines, steam engines, down in right down the block, pulling freight cars in and out. And as a kid, he would go down there and watch them, and pick the coal up and bring it back to the store and throw it in the coal burner stove that they had in the store. Mm-hmm. So you're getting that firsthand experience of talking to someone. But that, today with this, I mean, there's no reason, not to dive deep into it. I mean, take it baby steps, and don't let fear hold. I mean, it does
get started.
Get started. Right. Get started
on whatever part of it is, whether it's the entire layout or just getting started with a layout or starting a particular part of the layout.
Right.
Just start.
Exactly. When I started this, I had my friend Darren Brady. I've spoken many a time about him. He's a carpenter by trade, a foreman on a job. His favorite, when you talk to, it's nothing offensive. It's just that because he's in the construction trade for over 40 some plus years, every other word out of his mouth, he's dropping the F-bomb. That's just his norm. It doesn't matter who you are. He's talked that way to my pastor. And my pastor at first was like, he looked at me and I looked and I just went, that's just the way he talks. He's not being offensive. That's just how he doesn't, you can tell him to stop, but he'll just go right back to it. Anyway, when we built this, he's a beautiful guy. He gives you the shirt off his back. The guy is tremendous. When we built this, this is the staging yard for me. This is an 11-inch width. So when I started building it, I'm measuring 11 inches out, and I got this one section up right till over here. And he came by and he was like, "What are you doing?" And I told him. He says, "Oh, I'll give you a hand." I said, "Well, I got this section up." And then he says, "Well, what are you doing?" And I explained it's 11 inches. And he says, "This isn't 11 inches." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "This is 12." I said, "No, it's not. It's 11." He goes, "Did you take the width of the board into fact?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, the brace that you have against the wall is a half inch, and then the other half inch is an inch, so it's 12. You want 11, right?" I said, "Yeah." "Well, you got to cut the side." And these are things I didn't know. So he's tearing it all out. And he says, "Okay, this is what we're going to do." And that's how you learn. That's how you learn. I was like, 60 years old, and I thought I knew everything. Apparently I didn't. Apparently I didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you got to jump into the deep end of the pool sometimes.
Yeah.
If you love this hobby, you got to jump in. And isn't it cool when you're doing something that you don't think you think you know what you're doing, right? You set out to do something like you built the mountain, right? And you put the paint on it and you did it and you're saying to yourself, okay, it looks good, and then you're driving and your lovely wife turns to you without any inkling that you have these thoughts ruminating in your head. Did I do a good job? I know it's only a mountain, it's plastic, it's not the end of the world, but is it, And then she turns to you while you're driving and she says, that mountain looks just like the one you made. And it's like, you may not have done it, but inside you were like,
and that's exactly how it was too.
You were doing the rootin' tootin' pistols.
I was thinking they looked pretty close, but when she turned around and said they looked just like them, I thought, okay, that's confirmation right there.
Yeah, the confirmation is right. I always love when I do something and someone who I consider to be a lot more savvy in modeling, and they've done maybe the exact same thing, and they tell you this is exactly what they did, and you did it the same way. You're like, I did that. I did that.
Well, it's like this little hustler. I didn't think, I was going, I'm going to try and put lights in that. Well, you can see where the lights are.
Yeah.
And I actually got lights in it, both ends. And
Good.
I thought, I don't know that I can do it. I'll probably end up tearing up that shell trying to get lights in it, but I got them in there.
I was just speaking to Ralph Renzetti a couple of last week. I think I have it over here. I had an old engine that really didn't run, and this one here, and I took it all apart systematic. And I was telling Ralph this. I said, I took this engine apart and I cannibalized everything in it except the shell. I held on to the shell, but I wanted to see how it worked, so that when I went to another engine that I'm going to keep, I wanted to see, okay, this works with this. This works. You know what I'm saying? So, I was fortunate that I had this. This didn't work at all. I, was trying to test it, but it just died on me. I think when I opened it up, everything was fried inside. So, but anyway, but it was good experience. So nothing ventured, nothing gained. Now here's the $64 question. What's the worst thing you hate about doing on your layout?
Takes too long.
What's that? I didn't hear you.
It takes too long.
It takes too long. Oh, you're a former gamer.
Well, I don't fret or worry. I used to worry about stuff all the time. I don't worry about stuff so much anymore. But once I put this upstairs, and it's upstairs, the downstairs has 12 and 13, 14 foot ceilings. So upstairs is upstairs. And it takes some climbing to get up here. Well, I don't have the best knees in the world. My back's not great. I've got problems with my feet. And every time I climb the stairs, I go, I just want to get done with it before I can't get up here anymore.
Right.
But, that's in the back of my mind. That's the only thing that really bothers me about the whole thing. Other than that, I like all of it, really. Yeah. Yeah, I've
Chairlift.
had friends tell me they get the chairlift. Well, she's not going to go for that.
Yeah.
I'm lucky she let me put this in here.
Yeah. That's kind of
Yeah,
throwing the towel in.
yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna push my luck.
Yeah.
I've actually told my son, and I put it in stuff on the walls because they didn't finish the room. They didn't paint and stuff when they did this room because we weren't going to use it except for storage. But they did accidentally go ahead and texture the walls and put trim and that sort of thing in. So the only holes I have in the wall are where I put screws in to the studs for bracing for the base and the backdrops. So I told my son, when you have to tear this out, which you will one of these days, I said, you just tear everything down to those boards and then pull all the screws out. Then you'll just have, finger here, dab all the holes in, paint it, and it'll be ready to go.
Right.
So I'm not going to tear it out. So that's going to be his problem.
Yeah. Randall Ellis says, I always thought when I was younger that I knew a lot about both the real and model trains. Now that I'm 36, I found out that I know practically nothing at all.
Yeah.
Well,
that goes for a lot of things. When you're younger, you really do think you know everything about something.
Isn't that what Mark Twain said? When I was 20 years old, I thought my father was really stupid. And then when I turned 21, I couldn't believe how smart he became in 1 year. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
I think kids do that to you. Once you have kids, you realize how smart your parents were.
yeah. I mean, I got my 40-year-old. He's like I used to, and he used to, now when he comes to me today and he says, I was thinking about what you said 7 years ago and it happened.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but it is. Well, Claude, thank you so very, very much for being on with us. And
my pleasure.
Great.
Thank you for asking me.
It was our honor and definitely our delight in having you on. It was a very lively conversation, and it's very good to see the progress that you've done and what you're doing, and it's always good to see other model railroaders throughout the country and all over the world doing what they love doing the best. And we wish you only the best in the future of this, and we'll definitely come back and visit. We'll stay in touch, and we'll see you when will you be on? What is it, Trackside Beans or?
Yeah, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern.
10 a.m. Eastern. Well, maybe
on the Back on Track channel. Yeah.
Maybe I'll get up early because I don't usually get up. I'm a late riser. Because when you're retired, you don't have that pressing business.
And I also put a link to that channel on my channel. So
okay, good.
One of those two, you should be able to find that channel.
And your YouTube channel is what's the name?
Cowboy Valley and Timberline Junction Railroad.
There you go. And when can you get John from Schuylkill River Valley? When is his show on? Is his show usually?
I don't know. John's on different times. Are you talking about Community Roundhouse?
Yeah, I believe that's it, right?
I think they do that once a month. I believe.
That's
what it is. Theirs has been, off and on during the holidays, but
yeah, well, like all of us. Yeah, we took off just before the Christmas, and then this is our first show back for the 2020. So you're the first one for 2021, Claude.
Hey, hopefully we can turn it around.
Yeah. See what we can do. Well,
it can't be any worse, can
it? No, it cannot. Thanks so much, Claude, for being on with us. It's the Cowboy Valley and Timberline Junction Railroad in HO, also dual gauge of HON3. Just want to let you know that this Saturday night, January 9th, 2021 at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have the Railroad Empire, how we build them, and they'll be doing a decoder install. Again, I want to extend my apologies to Sir Rod Stewart. We were supposed to have you on tonight. I know we're not starting the new year off. Perhaps maybe next time we can. And also to the space station in space that we were supposed to do an N-scale decoder install with them, but for some reason we got our computer things crossed up and we just couldn't do it. So our apologies to NASA Space Station and to Cape Canaveral and to Sir Rod Stewart. Hopefully next week we can do this. Next, what's that? Oh, the Community Roundhouse is moving to the first Wednesday each month at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There we go, guys. Check
There you
them
go.
out. They're pretty entertaining, those guys. So, again, thank you so much for being here. You guys out there, without you watching, we're talking to dead air. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching. You guys be out there, be blessed, be safe, and be careful, okay? We'll see you guys on the radio. Take care and God bless.
Good night.